Hey everybody, Johnny Disc Golf back at it with another off-season interview. This time I am joined by newcomer to the professional scene, Miss Ella Hansen. How we doing?
What's up? Doing well. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Holidays just around the corner. I'm trying to bank a few of these interviews so I can take some much needed time off. But really, I enjoy you taking the time to speak with me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
How's your off season been though? What have you been up to? You moved fairly recently, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm living in the South Bay right
Mm.
now, but I've kind of been traveling a little bit past couple weeks. But yeah, I've been learning about the Bay Area disc golf scene and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and really welcome. I see you up at Golden Gate Park a fair amount. We played an
Mhm.
event not too long ago at night, so it's just been awesome to have you in the area and in the scene as a whole. Um, how has the golf been for you? Just because you were in Oregon before that. Down
Mhm.
here, Bay Area, very different. Just like from a golf course, like the shots themselves, energy. How you been liking it or not liking it?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's definitely been an adjustment. There's definitely different kind of style of holes, a little bit
Yeah.
less wooded, but also differently wooded. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, slightly different. The ground play is really different because a lot of it is like hard pan
Mm-hmm.
or sparse grass or something. Whereas in Oregon, it's like you hit the grass and you don't move because it's thick and,
Yeah, totally.
that's an interesting adjustment for me. Yeah, I have enjoyed kind of getting to know a lot of the courses around the area. There's so many in the Bay, which is
Yeah.
really cool. So getting to play on really hilly courses, a lot more wind coming into play than in Oregon, I guess. I mean, obviously there's windy days everywhere, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really cool. Been really cool.
Good. Well, you know, I've been talking with a lot of people this offseason who have been switching manufacturers and have like a whole new bag to learn, or they're, like I talked to Cole Riddell a little bit ago, and he's in Oregon. It's raining. He can't even practice. Like,
Hmm.
what has your offseason been like in that regard? You still have the same bag you're playing with last year, but it's not like you have, 15, 20 years of disc golf experience. I imagine it's still, a little bit of offseason training to get your bearings straight, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I haven't really had an off season before, to be honest. I mean, last year around this time, I was considering going to my first pro tour. So, um, I obviously was training and focusing on that, but I definitely didn't have that same kind of attitude and mentality of like, okay, I'm like training now for the season because I was planning to go to like 1 to 4 events last year. So um, it's definitely a different attitude and focus. And I'm also been working on transportation. I've been
Mm.
spending some time building out a little minivan for myself to travel in. So that's like another focus. But it's super nice being in California, being able to, you know, do my practice putting every day and not be freezing. And
Yes. I
yeah.
mean, that's a huge consideration for, pros is where do they spend their off season? Because, if
Hmm.
I'm from Minnesota, that does me no good really to go back to a frozen tundra. Um,
Right.
have you felt the value in that? Just being able to play, 95% of the days out here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've definitely noticed every time that I play, at least every single day, I feel like I become a better disc golfer pretty much immediately, like within a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and whenever I take some time off, it takes me a while to get back in it. And so I think that, yeah, I definitely have noticed the ability to sort of stay in the game and not. I'm hoping that I won't have as long of an adjustment period as some other golfers getting back on the tour. I mean, I think that yeah, I'll be going from practicing every day to playing every day, so it's not going to be a huge adjustment. Hopefully.
Yeah, I have to imagine, the beginning of this next season likely will be like your prime thus far, right? I mean, like you didn't
Yeah.
have a whole off season where you could commit to it, and during the season, you can speak to this and correct me if I'm wrong, but it actually becomes quite difficult to practice. You're traveling, you're eating, you're playing a practice round, but when you're playing a practice round, you're not necessarily like thinking about form as much as trying to diagnose the holes and figuring out how you're going
Mhm.
to play them.
Mhm.
Do you feel like your game is coming along or will come along to like be the best that it ever has been?
I think for sure. I mean, yeah, again, like I haven't had the ability to just focus on disc golf, and have that plan to be on the road for the whole year. So it's definitely like disc golf was something I was really into at this time last year and in the off season.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely I definitely am going to benefit from being able to be focused on it, and I do think that I'll be able to play some of my best disc golf, and I just feel like the more comfortable I get with the discs and the better I get.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you mentioned it that you're really focusing full time on disc golf. You've had a stellar, obviously, national championship career in ultimates. That to me, when I hear that, means or sounds like you're not really playing too much ultimate anymore. Where do you stand with that?
yeah. I mean, I'm not planning to play for at least the next couple of years. I'm
Mm,
really focusing on disc golf. I may play a little bit of pickup here and
sure.
there or whatever, but yeah, I'm pretty much focusing on disc golf for the time being, and ultimate's super fun, and I really enjoy playing it, but it it does like affect me playing disc golf a little bit. I don't think it affects me too much, but or as much as like some other people feel like their throws get messed up or something. I don't really notice that myself,
Hmm.
but um yeah, I definitely am going to be on tour for disc golf full time. So I'm not really going to have time to play Elite
Yeah.
Ultimate.
Well, speaking of something that you did have time to play, we had the pleasure of playing alongside each other at the Norcal Team Invitational a few months
Heck
back.
yeah.
We did take it down, so thank you for aiding us in that. But, you were a newcomer to the Bay Area at that point in NorCal as a whole. Could you speak to the experience of, that's like a collection of our 200 of our best players in the area. Like, what was that weekend like? What was the experience like? You had a great squad over on the FBO team.
hmm Yeah, it was really fun. I've never played any sort of event like that. It was a fun combination of like the team aspects of Ultimate with obviously the individual aspects of disc golf, and
Hmm.
trying to figure out your strategy of who was going to go for what, and it was just like really really fun. And I like we had like a mediocre first day. We played
Hmm.
3 matches or something, and then day two, on the first hole we played, like I threw a drive and I was like 45 feet out, and our our other partnership had like we're parked for par, and my partner had like been a little nervous about putting the whole weekend, and I was like, we're literally parked, you can just run it doesn't matter how far you
Hmm.
go, and she just like banged this 45-foot putt,
Really?
and it was like such a hype moment. Like it's really cool. Obviously when I'm playing on the pro tour, I'm getting excited for other people too, but being able to have that sort of moment as a playing disc golf as a team was really fun, and being able to hype up my teammates, I had a really good time, and it was like so cool to see. I had never played that course, and
Hmm.
just seeing all the different communities from all around NorCal was really cool to see, and see the depth that they have, and the commitment that everyone has to their local organizations is really cool.
Yeah, for me, it is the most special event that I'm able to play or attend. There's just a different energy on the pro tour. There's very much like a business, championship. This is what we're here for. Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that kind of almost vibes with more of the old school energy of disc golf, where it's a much more community driven effort and everyone's just there for the fun of the game. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, it is really good to hear your perspective on that, and I appreciate you, being a part of it. I think everyone had a great time, so it was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was really
Uh,
cool.
I want to talk about last year a little bit because it was an interesting foray into your first year in golf. There were some very high highs, and then there was some obviously, some underperformances, which is
Mm-hmm.
standard for somebody's first year on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from your perspective, though, how do you feel like your first season out on tour went?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. Obviously, like I had, so I played Las Vegas, and then I like
Hmm.
didn't do anything until the tour came back to the West Coast. And I had some good successes on the West Coast. Um, I ended up struggling a little bit, or I played well at Maple Hill, so I flew to Maple Hill after being in Alaska with Uplay, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I flew there. I really liked that course, and I felt like it suited me well. I got a top 10 finish there, which was
Hmm.
exciting, and then really struggled at Green Mountain Championships and at USDGC or Throw Pink. I'm not sure what to call
Sure.
it.
Sure.
But I felt like it was interesting because I do think that being on tour is overwhelming, especially like having events back to back to back to back to back. But it also does help to be in a rhythm and be able to just like feel comfortable playing disc golf because
Hmm.
um, I definitely I think struggled with like flying into events and trying to figure out my transportation and housing and like how to get to practice rounds and stuff. So I do feel like, and I also feel like I learned a lot from those events. And, I think that those events, Green Mountain Championship was just kind of, it just didn't feel right.
Hmm.
And I think that I was just, you know, having a rough week or something. I don't know. But I think that USDGC, like, I learned something every single round. And I think that, flying to events and then playing really tough events with a lot of OB that like I've never played before is really
Hmm.
challenging. And so those are events that I'm really excited to play next year. And I feel like not only can I like improve my scores a lot, but I feel like I can actually compete for the win there. So I'm really excited to play all those courses next year and do well.
Yeah, and a lot of like these struggles, I think, on tour, like you're talking about transportation and figuring out. I mean, these are holes that you've just never played or seen before.
Yeah.
Um, Doing that for your first year through, that's often the hardest part. It's not even the throwing the shots. It's like
Mm-hmm.
figuring out where you're going to eat, how to keep healthy, how to, you know, get a rental car. Oh, I need to carpool with this person over to here. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that is like the plight of a rookie, if you will. It's kind of like something you have to get over. And I say rookie because for me, when I thought rookie of the year, there wasn't a lot of people who were rookies in my mind. You were one of them. How did you feel when Juliana Korver was announced rookie of the year? Technically she was a rookie by all standards of the tour, but I think you were more the traditional sense rookie per se for the award. So how do you feel like the whole thing went down?
I mean, I think that I agree with like a lot of what people have said that it is weird to have a five-time world champion win
Yeah.
rookie of the year. But I also totally get it from the disc golf pro tour side that that's she's the winner of the award based on their criteria,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe they will add some sort of stipulation that if you are a national or world champion in the past, that maybe you're not eligible.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not upset about it because I think that like I think that Juliana does add a really awesome presence to the tour, and I was really excited to see her back out on tour. And I know that to her it kind of feels like almost a rookie experience. I mean, not to say how she's feeling, but from what I've heard from her, that like she feels like the reason that she sort of stopped playing disc golf back in the day was just because she felt like it wasn't challenging to her or interesting,
Mm.
or like she kind of, yeah. And so to have her be able to come back and like play really well and be challenged and challenge for the top spots, I'm just like, I think she adds a really good, yeah, presence to the
Mm-hmm.
to the tour. And I think that having her on tour is amazing, and so I'm totally happy about it. I'm not really upset about it. I think that people might expect me to be, but yeah, I'm happy that she's around, and I think that based on the the wording and the
Hmm.
criteria for that award, she's the winner. So yeah.
Yeah, and I spoke to her a little bit ago, and it you know it's 50-50, right? Because obviously she's been playing for a long time, but it is true. Like, going through a lot of the rookie things of like, well, back when she was touring full time, there wasn't an event every single weekend. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, for the most part, she could get to a bunch of events around Iowa. It wasn't like traveling across country over and over and over again. So,
Mm-hmm.
I get it from all the sides around, but I appreciate your perspective on the situation. It was one thing I was curious about, going in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to talk about U.S. women's in particular out in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So some context: I was filming a little like hype video for us to put out before the event, and I had a few people lined up for interviews, and some of them didn't show up. And so you came down to shoot some B-roll, and I sat you down, and we had an interview. And the one line that still sticks with me is, I'm ready to do damage here out here at US Women's. And, for me in the moment, it was kind of a throwaway line. Great, awesome. Unlikely that a rookie or somebody new to the scene is really going to come out here and make a statement, but you did. And you played great. Top 3, biggest cash of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What were your expectations, or what were your goals like right after that? Were you like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the best players in the world, I should be top 5 every time? Or was it like, all right, head down, that was a good performance, let's just keep throwing shots?
I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, it was, you know, the reason I started playing these big events was because I felt like my game could, compete with the top players in the world and the top
Mm-hmm.
players on tour. And so to have an event like that where I did feel like I was playing well, even though I didn't like I missed, I think, edge of circle putts on the first 2 holes. And so like obviously I wasn't playing like the best I could possibly ever imagine, but I played very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think after that event, I was kind of, I think I realized that like sometimes like players like Paige, like she didn't miss inside the circle that whole tournament. And so, and obviously she won the tournament handily.
Yeah.
And so I it gave me that sense of perspective of like, okay, like I did well and I had some success, but also here's how I need to be successful in order to actually win an event or something like that. Um, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and along those same lines, this is like, you know, what was your takeaway from the year as a whole? Like you just kind of explained that tournament was like that was your learning lesson, but like is there anything overall through the whole year that you feel like you learned or grew, experienced over the last year?
Yeah, I think that there's a really big importance in continuing to hype yourself up and be confident in yourself, but also being able to sort of take things as they come. And, uh, you know, obviously the top players, Paige and Kat and Missy and Kristen, all have really good tournaments, but it's important to know that like they each have tournaments where they are not that good,
Mm-hmm.
and like they struggle and that's okay. And so I think that just understanding that that is, maybe a blip or not a full representation of who you are. And I think that one of the things I've noticed from other players is that like sometimes they'll have a game plan and their game plan is to birdie hole one. And if they don't birdie hole one, they're just like upset for the rest of the round. And I'm like, wow, like that's
Yeah.
not going to help you do better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that that's easy to fall into and to want to, be successful. But I really try to make sure that I'm staying within, my realm and knowing that what I hope to happen isn't necessarily going to happen, but just trying to throw the best next shot I possibly can.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, gosh, it's something we can all probably take a little bit from, right? But speaking on that same topic of learning, you over the past year and into the off season have developed a great relationship and working relationship with UPlay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about, obviously you and Zoe have a great connection, so that probably helped things. But like, what drew you to being a part of it, and what does that look like for you, like in the off season and maybe even going forward?
Yeah. Well, what initially drew me in, I actually got connected up with Zoe because at the time I was the executive director of a nonprofit, small ultimate frisbee youth ultimate frisbee
Mm,
nonprofit in Eugene, and uh, so I have like a lot of experience. I think like 10 years of experience coaching in ultimate. So I've coached, elementary school to college age.
mm-hmm.
So that's something that I've really enjoyed doing and uh, have a lot of experience with. And so that's kind of how I initially got connected up with Zoe, and then sort of that nonprofit connection. And obviously, I think that the mission and the goals of UPlay are amazing. So that's why I've stayed
Yeah.
connected with them. And I think that, I like teaching and I like making sure that people are learning things. And I think one of the coolest things about teaching and stuff is just getting to see how excited people get when they learn something and they do it right. And I think that those moments are really come often in disc golf, which is really cool. I think um, I genuinely do think disc golf is one of the most accessible sports for the world,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
anyone. And so I think that being able to teach it to people, and not only is it accessible, but it gives people of all ages an opportunity to get better at something. And it doesn't matter what starting point they come from, but you can always improve yourself. And so that's why, it's so popular with all ages. And I think that getting to teach youth and adults disc golf through Uplay has been really super gratifying for me. And I'm excited to keep doing that too.
I, I love it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the whole work that UPlay has been doing. I stayed with Tanner a few times down the stretch, and he's a big
Mm-hmm.
part of like the media side and kind of getting it
Yep.
documented and making sure people see the work that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think grow the sport, hashtag grow the sport, people say it all the time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, it's directed towards the professionals and the professional scene.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I think grow the sport, I think children and
Mm-hmm.
getting getting it in culture as like a baseline, instead of like something that people might find out about when they're 20 or 25,
Mm-hmm.
seeing it in elementary school will legitimize it in a way that I think will give people a lot more credence to like commit to it. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, like Uplay has been an awesome development, and I love how much the Pro Tour is really working with them. Um, do you guys have any plans for Uplay to like, you know, develop it into like tie it in with the tour even more? Like at the end of last year, I know they did a few stops that were like each tour stop had a school that they would go to. Is there plans to continue that going into next season?
Yeah, as far as I know, there is. I mean, I, I'm not the expert to speak on it, but I know that is, um, has been one of the main goals for a couple of years. And so, yeah, getting to implement that at the last few tour stops this past season was really exciting for Zoe and Dustin and everybody. So, um, as far as I know, that's the plan for the upcoming year. And so
Awesome.
I think that kind of a connection too is going to be really helpful to both teaching disc golf, but also engaging with the local community and um, you know making bringing more fans out and making things exciting. Like at Green Mountain Championship, we taught at an elementary school, and we were able to provide every kid to come with their parents for free to
Oh,
watch
that's great.
Pro Tour. Watch, yeah. So seeing those kids out there, like they were so excited, having so much fun, and it was really really cool to see all those kids enjoying disc
Oh.
golf even after just having learned about it like for an hour or whatever
Mm-hmm.
2 days before. They were out there so hyped, like trying to get pros to sign their discs, like really into it. And so I think that, yeah, I think that the
Yeah.
benefits of disc golf are really there. You just got to share it with the world.
I love it. Honestly, I'm getting like little chillies just like hearing you talk about that. Like it really is inspiring. And I love the idea of bringing them out to the Pro Tour afterwards just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like lock in the fandom and have them experience it. But let's talk about next year just a little bit as far as yourself and your plans, goals, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I imagine it's the full tour, right? So you're gonna start in Vegas and like end in I guess Charlotte, I think is where we're doing the championship again.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the plan? Full go?
Pretty much full go. There might be a couple of tournaments that I will not be able to attend
Yeah.
or whatever, but yeah, for the most part. planning on that full tour. And yeah, I'm
So
really excited.
yeah, that kind of leads me into my next question. Two questions. One, you said you're building out a minivan.
Hmm.
Talk to me. Is it we got like a Sienna, we got a Honda Odyssey, or do we got like Sprinter?
Yeah, old Toyota Sienna. Yeah.
Ooh, I knew it. The Peter McBride mobile.
Uh-huh. That's what I've heard. Um, yeah, I'm basically I've got like an old hand-me-down Sienna that I'm hoping will last me through a season, and then if I like the van life, I'll upgrade to a Sprinter type van.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm kind of building it out I'm not trying to sink a whole lot of money into
Yeah,
something
of
that's
course.
probably going to stop working, hopefully after this season.
Hmm. Well,
But
that kind of leads me into my next question, right? Is you're building out a van, you're doing van life, touring around the country for the most part of the year. I know how long it can be on the road. You have a partner at home though who
mhm,
is doing her school thing at Stanford.
mhm.
How are you going to manage that? Because I know personally, my girlfriend would not be excited about the idea of me jumping in a van and leaving for like 7 months straight. So,
Yeah.
have you guys is there a plan in mind? How are you going to handle that? How are you going to balance?
Yeah, I mean that's part of why I will be not going to probably everything on the road. It's kind of nice because the tour kind of comes back uh to the West Coast,
Hmm.
and then there's a couple weeks before the next pro tour. Obviously, there's like A tiers and Silver Series and whatnot that I could attend as well. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping to be able to come home for at least every month or two.
Hmm.
So whether that means flying home and having to leave the van somewhere for a little bit, that might be what I'm planning to do. But yeah, it is tough, but I'm also really excited about, following my dreams.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to make it work in whatever way I can.
Yeah, that's kind of always been the struggle for me. It's like, like people want to support me living my dreams and chasing my truth and doing that sort of thing, but there is a balancing act, because not
Hmm.
everyone is wanting to sign up for this. So
Right,
yeah,
absolutely.
it can be a struggle. So I appreciate that you're kind of forward thinking that a little bit.
Hmm.
Do you have any goals? Any specific like? Are you like a write down your goals type person? What's your goals for the next season?
Yeah, I'm not really a write down my goals type person, but I try to be.
Sure.
I I like to think of goals. Well, I think that there's two types of goals. There's like process goals and outcome goals.
Okay.
So like process goals are kind of what's happening right now. Like I'm working on certain skills to become a better disc golfer, so my outcome goals can come true.
Hmm.
Um, but I really want to and think that I can win an elite series this year. So that's my main goal. I would like to win two. Actually, two is my goal, but we'll see.
I love it. So you kind of got snubbed on Rookie of the Year, but the expectation is most improved, right? We're going to get one of
Mhm.
them next year.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm stoked. And I think like it, it seems kind of like a lofty goal, and that's good. I mean, my goal last year was to make top 5 at a Elite Series event, and I did that like right away almost.
Hmm.
So I figure I might as well make big goals.
Hey, shoot. Hopefully, we can knock those down early too.
Yeah.
Ella, for real though, I really appreciate your time doing this interview. I want to give you a chance, to thank, shout out anyone you want out there in YouTube land. Stage is yours.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank my mom for helping me build out my van and my girlfriend. And yeah, I don't know when you're going to post this, but all my sponsors are the same as next year or last year, I guess. So shout out to Discmania, OTB, and Upper Park. They're the best. You should buy
Hmm.
their things. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well, my pleasure. And just so you know, to answer your question, this will be up in the next few days. I'm kind of banking a couple of these over the holiday break. So should be
Great.
up, yeah, in the next few days. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
For all of you out there at YouTube, if you'd like coverage of all things disc golf, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.